3, 2, 1, roll the footage. Can we work together alone? Do I have to build the whole business completely alone, or can I delegate parts, outsource parts of my business? Is there even beauty in outsourcing? Our guest today, Dr. Dorine Rivers, is the author of Brain to Bank: How to Get Your Idea Out of Your Head and Cash In. Welcome, everybody, Dr. Dorine Rivers.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity to be on your show, Simon. I've come to know you and appreciate how you have created your community and the value you offer them. And they're lucky to have you, and I'm lucky to be on your show. So thank you.
Before we learn from you how to outsource, what to outsource, how did writing the book change you?
I have been in consulting for about 30 years, and a big part of my job has been to help startups get up and running. And people will call and say, we have an idea for a new company. Can you come and get it up and running? So that would include setting up systems and processes and getting their product development line going, and maybe being over looking at marketing and labels and what does that look like and who's the target market and sales and all the things that go with getting your company up and running and your product or service into the marketplace so you can start making a profit. And I decided that it was time to share that information with anyone who has a great idea. And most people have at least one great idea in their lifetime, but they don't know where to start. And so the book says, this is where you start. This is how you do it. Do this. More importantly, don't do this. And work your way through the book. And when you've done that, you have created your product or service, but more importantly, the business structure that supports the fact that you have something to sell to others.
Oh, I love this. And many people listening go, oh, the beauty of outsourcing. Oh, yeah, it's easy for you guys. You have everything figured out and are so far. But I'm just starting. So, how do I identify what to outsource and how do I start outsourcing?
There are some new platforms coming up every day that help people with outsourcing, how to choose virtual assistants. Sometimes those words outsourcing and virtual assistant will be used interchangeably. They can be different things. Virtual assistants are someone that maybe you use more often. Outsourcing really has to do with, I've got a video that I need to make and I want a 1-minute sizzle video. Who can put together footage that I have? What about narration and an overview that explains the video? What about music? What about a video editor? You can find all those different people. A lot of times you can find someone that does all of it, but it's almost better to find someone to write the video who's a writer, and then find someone who is an editor to put together the music and the photographs the way that you want. And there are so many platforms that you can go to look at who's available, how much they are. Most often they're in another country, so they'll be far less expensive than people that you might get in the United States. And that poses the other question is, all right, if I'm working with people overseas, I don't know who they are. Can I trust them? Are they any good? And we can answer all those questions during this podcast. And I will tell you that if you do it right and you take the time to learn how to outsource, you will be up to 40% savings on what it costs to do that if you're trying to do yourself or hire it in-house. And what are you going to do with 40% extra money? It goes into marketing, it goes into product expansion, it goes wherever you want, but it's yours to do something else with. And you're getting great products because you have the best of the best working for you on a specific project, but they're not payroll. So you have them when you need them and you don't pay them when you don't.
What was one of the first things that you outsourced in your own business?
It was video editing because I wasn't able to. I could have learned Adobe or Final Cut or some of these other programs. It wasn't worth my time. My zone of genius is not in the technical things. That's not where to put my time. My time is in the vision of the company and making sure all the parts are running and that they are going to the same place, which is the goal of the company. And that's usually every business owner's main job. Entrepreneurs, CEOs, they're looking at the company as a whole. So when you outsource, you're looking at yourself like a general contractor, and you're able to hire plumbing or electrical and the foundation and the sheetrock and the finishing. You get the guys who do that all the time who are really good at it. You don't need to learn how to sheetrock and tape. You're going to hire that out, and they're going to be really good at it, and they're going to get it done faster and better than you. So I outsourced editing, and then I started outsourcing web design. I found a web design guy on one of the platforms probably 10 or 12 years ago. We have built at least 15 or 20 websites together since then. I got him, I found him, he's great. I've kept him. He's reliable. He knows how I like things done. I know when I give him something to do, he'll get it done on time and he'll do a better job than I had envisioned because he's the expert and he had great ideas. So that's the freedom and beauty of outsourcing is you get all those things, but you don't have to learn them yourself.
I recently learned that I can outsource even hiring. So the first thing that I outsourced years ago was bookkeeping, everything, sending the invoice, checking if the invoice was paid, because I just found it boring. And then marketing in terms of everything, content refinement, publishing, and reusing. And recently, a couple weeks ago, I asked my team, "Oh, I'm spending so much time on hiring, all this, meeting these people and talking to these people. And could somebody else do it?" And then somebody from my team says, "Yes, Simon, I can do it. You have the process. I can do it. Just give me access to the process." And I was like, wow, even the last bit you can outsource. What was, yeah, what was one thing that your clients were struggling with and then you were able with them to actually outsource?
I got stuck this year with being overwhelmed in managing so many virtual assistants. And I thought, can I get a virtual assistant to manage the virtual assistants? And I put that together, and it has been a relief. And that is really the true word of when this gets off your shoulders. You know, someone else is handling it. They're expert at what they're doing. You trust them to come back with great results for you. And just having that off your shoulders allows you to do the things you're really great at that you've been waiting to get to. But all these little nitpicked little things have been in your way and stopped you from having the time to work on what you really want to work on. Think of where the stop gaps are in what you're doing. What is holding you back from doing all the things that you really want to do on a daily basis? And write those down. It's like, well, I spend an hour and a half on LinkedIn seeing who messaged me and wants to have a meeting with me. Okay, that's something that's taking an hour and a half every single day. At the very least, that's costing you, 9 or 10 hours a week. Could you do with 9 or 10 hours? And the answer is always plenty. So that becomes a place where you say, okay, can I find a virtual assistant and can I outsource that somewhere so that I don't do that every day and I can have that time back? And so you make a list of the things that you do every day that you wish you weren't doing, that you hate to do, that are sucking up time that you want to put somewhere else, and you go find outsourcing freelancer to do that. And the reality of that is you may go through two or three freelancers before you find someone that you really, really like. But when you do, you keep them and you're done looking, and they take all that off your shoulders, and you're free to do the things that you are really good at.
One thing that we are getting asked a lot is, before I outsource, do I need to know already the process? Or can I just outsource and say, do my branding or build my sales process? Or do I have to figure it out, write it down, and then hand it over? What is your take?
I've done it both ways, and my best results have been with me giving them the most communication that I can as to what I expect, especially when you're working with overseas providers and English is their second language. They may or may not really get what you need unless you're very explicit about it. So when I send over, for example, what I want to have in a 1 minute video, it's not just make this video about my book, Brain to Bank. I know what I want that to look like, and I want it to match my existing marketing and branding. I will take the time to find at least some, if not all, of the images and footage that I want, and I will match it up with the copy and how it goes. I will even go as far as finding the piece of music that I want, because that is the first thing people are going to see on my website about my book, and it has to nail it. Somebody in Pakistan or India or wherever your VA is isn't going to understand your marketing like you do. So I think that when it comes to marketing and branding, I think you have to have more control over that, or you start getting fragmented marketing and branding and sending mixed messages, and then you're losing what you've created. So I think communication is the number one most important thing when working with virtual assistants. And write it as if they're in fifth grade, and make it very explicit, and make it bullet points, and say, do you have any questions? And here's a real good thing. If it's a bigger project, let's say that you are creating 10 modules for training, and they run in sequence. I will test it out, and I'll say, I'm going to hire you for the first module, and here's what I want. And then when you're done, send it back, and we'll see if it's exactly what it is that I need. And if it is, you can go forward, and I'll hire you to do the other 9. If not, we'll tweak it until you understand what it looks like. Then you can go do the other 9. So test drive it on larger projects like that, so you have it from the very first section or chapter or module, what you want. Then they move forward, and now you've been in control of the project and what it looks like the whole time, and you're relying on their expertise to get it right and then continue with the project.
I will ask you, what's the next thing that you are going to outsource after a word from our sponsors? What if your business would run well even when you are on vacation? Discover how 1,600 business owners have regained their freedom using the Strategy Sprints blueprints. How they enjoy living their dream and watching their business scale. Get the exact checklists they use to go from stressed to fulfilled using the Strategy Sprints method. Order your copy of Strategy Sprints 12 Ways to Accelerate Growth for an Agile Business on Amazon today. And if you love it, leave us a review. For more information, head over to strategysprints.com. Is there anything specific that you are looking forward to outsource next?
That's a great question, because this morning I was out hiking and I'm thinking I need to send this to someone to outsource it, a virtual assistant this morning. I'm working on a new health app, and I need to know who my competition is, and I need to have someone read all the comments that people say about that specific app and what they wish it did that it's not doing. And I want a compilation and a summary of what it is people wish they had in these particular health apps. And then that is going to be part of what I will create, because now I have a target market ready and waiting for something instead of trying to create the market after I make whatever product I think is cool. I'm going to find out what they want and make sure that that's in the product that I'm developing. So my virtual assistant this morning will get the assignment to look at competition and come back and tell me what it is they're not doing, and we'll make sure we do that.
Brilliant. And I might share with you and with her, if you want, some ChatGPT prompts that actually might shortcut, make her faster in doing that, because there is now the web plugin in ChatGPT, so it can crawl through Amazon and collect that for you if you give it the right prompts. And we recently made a workshop on AI in sales, and that's exactly what we were doing. Find the unmet needs my competitor leaves open. And if you say specifically, go through the reviews and tell me the top 5 dissatisfactions, it might be able to scrape that.
I agree. And I think that's an absolute added bonus to whatever else you find. And a necessary thing in this day and age is to utilize artificial intelligence. And I wouldn't solely rely on that, but I would certainly augment and make sure that I cover the base with that, and then look at the whole picture and say, okay, here's what we have.
But people like you are going to win the decade because you have a strategic mind. You know the right strategic questions to ask and to let people research. It's just that now you are augmented because now you have 20 little McKinseys running around for free, $20 a month, almost free, and they are on your desk. Problem is, most people ask them, input in, input out. So if you ask them paranoid or cynical questions, you will get cynical answers. But if you ask them, go through the reviews and tell me the unmet needs of my potential customers, it does that.
It's such a time saver, it's unbelievable. And then it gives you a very succinct summary, and you don't need to read documents and documents and comments. It's in the summary, and you're going, okay, here it is. And Chat GPT, as we all know, is the runaway train of saving you so much time and money that it's almost incomprehensible what that means in a return to you for a couple keystrokes in asking a few questions via prompts on GPT.
So your book, Brain the Bank, is available right now, Brain to Bank, and people can get it, and they should get it. Another thing that I want to explore with you is you hang out in some very high-level masterminds. And now when somebody does that, they take a decision to invest into something. And many people listening are going, should I go into a mastermind? I'm not sure. Why? Which one? And so can you unpack the thinking process behind that and your decisions?
I can. My first mastermind was Abundance 360, and I started out being a virtual member, which means I watched everything on the web rather than attending in person. And that wasn't just for travel reasons, but the meeting in person was a whole lot more money, and I thought I needed to test drive this and see what it was like. The very first seminar, it was a 3-day summit on Abundance 360. The first day, I'm sitting there watching the most incredible people on this planet talk about audacious goals and bold moves that they're making, things that people don't even think about. And if they read about it, it's in some sci-fi novel. And yet here it was in real time with real people showing real results. And they just invigorated me. And I was thinking one thing, and it was this: I finally found my people. I felt like I was being energized and challenged, and yet I fit right in there because I have crazy ideas too, and no one there thought it was crazy. All everyone does is decide what futuristic thing is something they would like to do to help humanity. And then they start. Nothing stops them, and no one tells them all this. Most people think it's crazy until the day it shows up, and then all of a sudden it's brilliant. But it goes from crazy to brilliant overnight after 10 years of working on it. But it's an incredible group. Another one is Genius Network, and it's a more local group. It's filled with entrepreneurs, just like Abundance 360. Everyone's there to help everyone else and to say, that's not a crazy idea. What can I do to help you? And it just has catapulted my thinking, my ability to network with really high-minded, brilliant, successful people. And when I pay my dues to be in these organizations, I'm not paying to be in those organizations. I'm investing in myself. I don't think of it as paying those organizations. I think of this money is going to me being a better person and spending time with people who think like I do. What can I do to help them? What are their gifts that will help me get to where I want to go? But I'm investing in myself and my future when I do that. And that's how I look at it.
Where do you get your inspiration from books, podcasts, from building things, from masterminds?
It from all that you just mentioned, and then some. They come from the strangest places, and I might be listening to a book and I'll hear one sentence or one concept, but it will be applicable to something else that I'm doing and has nothing to do with the context in which it was talked about in the book. But I have been able to take what he just said and put it into something else and utilize that principle in something I've been wondering how to problem solve the specific thing in this project that I have been thinking about. It comes from everywhere, and that's why you always pay attention to everything. And that's why, even though you think maybe someone you're talking to is boring or has nothing to say to you, there's always something good you can pick up that makes you better at what you're doing, and you can pick up something to help them with what they're doing. And it's all about just being aware and listening and understanding that it's not exactly what they said, but maybe it applies to this in this way, and you utilize it that way.
That's amazing. What is a question that I should have asked you and I didn't yet ask you?
How about this? Where can we get more information on outsourcing? And I will say, I'm just finishing another book. It's a small book, and it's a chapter 7 from Brain to Bank, and it's called Working Together Alone. And now it's a standalone book. And for your listeners, if they will go online on Monday, they can get the book for free. And just workingalonetogether.com will get them there. And they just will fill out a little form that says, I would love to have this free book. And it will show up in your inbox as a flipping book. And you'll click on the link and you can read that entire book for free. And it'll tell you everything we just talked about. The other thing is that if you go to braintobank.com, there are free resources there. And you can have them for absolutely, you don't have to buy the book, they're yours. There's a whole section there on outsourcing and which platforms to use, what those platforms might do better than other platforms. And there's a whole section to help you figure out how to start with outsourcing and where to go to do that. And it's free, and it's on braintobank.com.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Dr. Dorine, for being here, sharing your wisdom with us. And people, Brain to Bank. Let's get the book. And chapter 7 is now its standalone book. What a pleasure. Thank you so much for being here, sharing your wisdom. Dr. Dorine, please come back soon.
Thank you.
Avoid trying to do thousands of things that doesn't work. We have 274 templates for your business success. Reach your ambitious goals with one-on-one sprint coach. We double your revenue in 90 days.
What if your business would run well even when you are on vacation?
Discover how 1,600 business owners have regained their freedom using the Strategy Sprints blueprints. How they enjoy living their dream and watching their business scale. Get the exact checklists they use to go from stressed to fulfilled using the Strategy Sprints method. Order your copy of Strategy Sprints 12 Ways to Accelerate Growth for an Agile Business on Amazon today. And if you love it, leave us a review. For more information, head over to strategysprints.com.